Hello, everyone, and welcome to Java. This is the first week of Java, CIT 111, and what we're going to do here is we're going to learn to do some of our first programs. All right, so even though we have a class in person, I like to add these lab works so that you can go back on it. So whatever I talk about in class, you could refer back to the videos for the lab aspect of it. You could use it as a reference to help you get started with Java programming. So each week I'll have some type of lab video out online that'll be relevant to what we talked about in class. And like I said, you could use it more as a reference than anything. So this is Eclipse. So this is going to be either new to you or something that you've already dealt with before. So Eclipse is a little bit different. So what in this video, I'm not going to talk about how to use Eclipse. I'm going to talk about how to do your first program. So what you could do is right here, as you see, I have all these files. I have a bunch of files, and that's called a workspace. But right now, I'm going to click New. I'm going to choose a new project name. We're going to call this CIT. Wow. Keys in the wrong place. CIT 111, and I'm going to call it Fall 2016. Now, the thing is, I'm using the JRE, which is the return environment. It's basically what version of code you want to use. 1.8 is the most recent, so in this case, I'm going to use 1.8 and just hit finish. All right, there we are. Now we have our folder set up. Now, here's the thing. You have the source, and that's where all your source code goes at, and then you have something called the JRE system library. If you click on the system library, you have these things called jar files. And basically what the jar files are instructions inside that allows you to run libraries. These are libraries right here. So let's find one that we could really talk about just to kind of give you a little bit access, a little idea. So JAccess has two containers, two packages, com.sun.java.accessibility Now that utility itself, so these are different classes that you can use. We have the accessible state, and it tells you in that source what it deals with. It says this jar file here has attached source. Tells you that just gives you like the parameters and so forth. So this is kind of an example of what you could do, and we'll learn about libraries a little bit more as we talk about this class. So let's talk about writing our first program, our very first program in Java. So what you're going to do is you're going to right click on source. You're going to choose new. You have all these options and a lot of options, and we'll talk about them. Right now we're just going to choose class. And what's important is you want to give it a name. So in this case, we're going to call it hello. Okay. And this public static void main here, you need this when you're writing your program, because it's going to be, think of it as your starting point of your program. Now you have two options. You could either check it and have it auto-populate, or you could just type it in. But I'm going to say go with the easiest route and just click on it. And that way, guess what? It's there. It's available a lot easier. So here we go. So we have public class. It's kind of, if you do a slash like that, what that does is it's called a comment. And so if you're running your source code, it's going to skip the comment, because the comment is just giving you a notation. So this right here is, we'll say, the beginning part of our program, which is true. Now, as you notice here, it's called public class hello. And here's the other thing that's relevant. I'll show you. You have hello, and you have hello. Now let's say that we called this I don't care. Okay? It's going to give us a little red line. And do you know why? Because the name of the file, it's a public class. It's called I don't care. It doesn't match up with this. Now, if we took the public off and called it class, guess what? It doesn't matter, because this right here is public. This isn't public. So we could use this as class and it'll work fine. But in that case, we're just going to go back to what we had before. We'll just make a public class hello and it works fine. Just wanted to point that out. All right, so that's the beginning part of our program. So down here is our console. And let's see if we could just clear this console, because this console is going to be the location that your information outputs to. Okay, so we have our public static void main, which is the name of our starting point. So you usually see right up here at public class, we have this little less than, well, it's a bracket here that says, hey, my code's starting. Right here says, hey, my code is ending. Okay, well, let's, actually, that's not what I wanted to say. We'll leave it there because we'll copy that. All right, so here's my code. This is the main part. Boom. Now we have, think of this as the parent, and think of this as a kangaroo. Okay? Kangaroo starts and ends. And beside the kangaroo, we have the Joey. Okay? This is the Joey. Joey is the person in the middle, so he's going to be doing all the operation. Now the mother's running, but the Joey's able to do the work. So in this case, public static void main, we need to tell it to do something. So then what we do is we type in system dot. Now as you see, when you do system is a string that you could type in that allow it to do something. As you see, as I did dot, it brought all those options. Now let's say I did lowercase. It'll bring in the same thing, but it gives you that little red line because system.out is case sensitive, and you'll see that with Java. So let's do system in uppercase dot out dot println, and then I'll give it a message, hello world. Now, as you notice here, when I wrote this code, system.out.println, let's see, system is part of the library. Okay. Now, hello world is considered a string. And why is it considered a string? Anything with quotation marks around text is a string. Okay. Now we did the system out print line, and then we did our message. We had to do the brackets here in order to enclose our information. In addition to that, we had to put a semicolon. So if we didn't put a semicolon, it doesn't like that. It highlights it and says, let's see what it says. System error insert to complete. So we need to put this here for it to work. Okay. So now if I click run, this guy up here, look what, this is hello world. Now I can put anything in there. Let's be bold and say the Steelers will win Super Bowl 51. Okay. We don't have to save it, we could just run it. This is under Steelers will win Super Bowl 51. And we could do, and the Pirates will win the next World Series. All right, who am I fooling there? Hit return. Look at that. Just like that, your information is displayed on the screen. This is just an example of hello world. So we'll close it and save it. All right. So another one that we could do, let me think, hello to, that's not going to do what I want. Well, I'm going to show you something here in this one here. So I showed you how to use the comments. Let's say that we wanted to say backslash star asterisk. You could do comments this way too. And doing comments this way, you could add a lot more stuff. And usually in the comments, when you're doing something, you'll say developer, well, let's space this out and say developer, Jeff Seaman. Date created. We'll say 8/25/2016. All right. Date modified. Leave it blank because it hasn't been modified yet. Then we have description. This program is supposed to do magic. Okay. There's your header at the top with your information in it. If that makes any sense. Now I'll show you a different thing that we could do that we'll talk about later on. Let's see. All right, so let's right click, new class. We will call this hello dialog. All right, so something new that we're going to do here is we're going to import a library called import java x.swing.joption. Now, this is just a preview, something that we will talk about later on in more depth. All right, this right here is using Swing, which we'll talk about that. Swing is a GUI that has a form. At the bottom here where you see the Steelers will win Super Bowl 51, that's a console, like a backend program. All right, so now what we're going to do here, we have that, we're importing that library. Now we need to say something. So how we're, instead of using system.output, we're going to say j option pane dot show with all the options, message, dialog. We're going to say no. We're going to say Steelers rock, and that's it. So now if we run this, you're going to get, it's over on this screen here, you're going to get this display message. As you see, it's a GUI versus down here, it's just Steelers rock. I hit OK. Only difference is we're using j-option pane.show message, but if we're using system.out.println, it prints it to the console. Any questions? This is online, so it doesn't matter. You can also go back to this. Out. You can say, okay, out.println. This is an error. Then we can run it. And now it says this is an error. So this is just video 1 for introduction to programming. We'll get in more depth as we move forward. Thank you.